Hello and welcome one and all. I'd like to start off this video by saying rest in peace to the late great Akira Toriyama. If you're watching this video, I'm assuming you're a pretty big fan of anime and manga and you've seen or at least heard of Dragon Ball and probably know the great impact it had on the world of anime and manga. It was a very sad day on Friday when I found out about this news. It was not much to smile about on that day, but I'd like to take a quick moment to just share with you all how I kind of got into Dragon Ball. I got into anime pretty young. My first anime actually wasn't Dragon Ball, but was in fact Naruto. But I remember my first exposure to Dragon Ball was actually the video games. At the time, I lived with three brothers, and yeah, they were playing the Dragon Ball Budokai Tenkaichi 3, and yeah, that's what really got me into Dragon Ball. Like, I think I may have seen it before when I was a bit younger than that. I think I was about 9 at the time when I was introduced to the games of Dragon Ball. But yeah, the brothers at the time, they actually introduced me to the some of you old school fans might know the site Naruto Get to watch all the Naruto episodes, and they also had a sister site. I can't remember the exact URL of that site, but yeah, they had the Dragon Ball site, and that's where I just started from episode 1 of Dragon Ball Z, and I just watched the whole thing and loved it. And yeah, even now I'm big into the gym, and yeah, anytime I flex my muscles or anything like that, I'm always thinking about Goku. He's kind of an inspiration for the gym, like a lot of anime characters were an inspiration for me to like get healthy and fit. And yeah, Goku was one of those, and I just want to say thank you to Akira Toriyama for like creating such a wonderful character. Goku probably taught a lot of young kids to never give up and always keep pushing yourself to your absolute limits and don't accept like the level you're at now. You can always be better, and that's kind of a thing that was instilled in me. Maybe it's from Goku, maybe it's from other animes, but I am sure definitely played a part in instilling that never give up attitude in me. So yeah, it's really sad he's gone. And yeah, I just want to give a quick moment to remember him. So yeah, I'll say this: Arigato, Akira Toriyama-san. Okay, so let us now get into the review. And this chapter is called Go. So yeah, we have finished it. We're at the start of technically at the end of the race, but we're at the start of the race of these master rules, I guess now. Yeah, like I thought, this chapter should have been called Go. I don't know what else it could have been called. The last chapter was Ready. I'm pretty sure he mixed up Ready and Set because it's supposed to be Ready, Set, Go. I'm not being dumb, am I? Is it Set, Ready, Go? I'm pretty sure it's Ready, Set, Go. But yeah, let's get into it. So this chapter interestingly starts off with Luna and Soul, the Master Rule Soul. So complete confirmation he is Soul. I'm pretty sure we know all the Master Rules at this point. But yeah, him and Soul are having a little convo. Luna says it's rare for Soul to show up on the moon. So I guess these guys can just appear, just not on the Earth. I guess it's just the Earth is off limits for the Master Rules unless they're on the quest. Are they off limits to other planets as well? Like, because when Uma Galaxy, I guess probably not. Like, because Uma Galaxy shows up, and they can probably just go to wherever they want in space. Before that, it was just a void, so like, there's no point in going anywhere else. They could only go to the sun and the moon. But yeah, with Uma Galaxy, they could probably just venture out, visit some aliens and shit. Soul says he's come out because yeah, they seem to be talking about him, so he came to have a look. So I guess they can view whatever's going on in the quest on Earth, I guess, from Luna's little station she got on the moon. He says they're talking about him, so can he not see it from the master room table? Maybe he can just hear things, so or maybe he can just feel that they're talking about him because yeah, he is Soul. Soul does go on to mention that aren't they learning about him a bit too late? It is the final loop, but Luna goes on to explain that it takes about 200 years of diligent practice for people to like clearly notice souls, and the ones who really had the potential for that were Victor and Juiz, but they were both first generation negators. So kind of what I was alluding to before with Undead, he doesn't have anyone like before him to like connect with the souls like Fuka does. All those people she saw, like the guy with the top hat and whatnot. So for them, they never really had a chance to feel that kind of past negator connection. And this is kind of ironic for Juiz. It's kind of like, in spite of all her efforts to like try and get the best negators and stuff, by her always choosing to be the first seat and always choosing to go through the loop, she kind of like blocked off the opportunity to like learn about this connection with her past self, learn about what we're gonna like find out is probably the best way to power yourself up to fight against God. So it is kind of unfortunate. Her stubbornness to always be the first seat is kind of what held them back, really. And I want to bring up real quick this interesting point that Luna's brought up, this new terminology I don't think we've had before. Juiz and Victor are first generation negators, but Fuko is a second generation negator. I'm wondering what they mean by the generation, because surely that just means there was no pre-negator to you. But clearly we know Fuko as a second generation negator houses the souls of all the negators leading up to her. So if there's multiple negators leading up to her, wouldn't she be like more than the second generation? Wouldn't she be like, from just what we're looking at, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So she'd be the seventh generation if we're going like that. What generations mean, like next negator after next. So what really does this generation thing mean? That's what I'm wondering. Because it can't be the previous negator. Yeah, it's kind of confusing. The only other thing I could think of is maybe that initially when this whole game between Luna and God started, that they created a bunch of negators and those are the first generation. But after a while, they were like, you know what? We need a couple more negation. We'll maybe balance it out a bit. Maybe they got to like 50 loops and they were like, yeah, these guys really aren't figuring anything out. Maybe they need some more help, so we'll chuck a couple more negators in there for them. And those are the second generation negators. Maybe it was a reward for one of the quests. Maybe one of the quests was like super hard, but it was like, we'll give you a bunch of new negators if you do it. And speaking of past quests, I want to make a real quick tangent. I've been just catching up to the Undead Unluck anime, and one of the early quests was neutralization of Uma language. So we've seen this master rule before apparently, and if my memory serves me correctly, it only took 3 participants to neutralize quests. I think it was Juiz, Top, and Nico maybe. I can't remember completely, but it was only 3, but Juiz Unjustice is pretty broken. So yeah, maybe the next one, language, might not be so tough, or maybe she wasn't like had as much of her power as a master rule back then because not as many penalties had incurred. I'm not sure, but yeah, apparently we have neutralized language before. And another side note about the anime: beautiful animation. I'm loving it so much. I love how much justice they've put into this series. Soul goes on to say that Beast's ability is actually pretty easy to figure out, and thanks to that, Fuko is able to catch on to the previous negators and the soul abilities. And he goes on to mention that, yeah, like we've seen, Unbreakable has caught onto it as well and figured that out, how to connect to her previous generations. And whilst he's seeing this, we just see Top dashing around, destroying all the ancient beasts. Luna says to Soul that he seems pleased, and he actually says, can you tell? He's actually quite giddy by this, because if they hadn't caught on to this any sooner, they all would have been annihilated by the time he was able to show up the number 1 rule. He even says that he's looking forward to this. He really is. He really seems genuinely happy that there might actually be a challenge in this loop. Luna even says that she has high hopes. We move down to the battle, and Fuko's just instructing Top to destroy all the ancient organisms around him. Soul praises Fuko and says, yep, that's the right answer. He even mentions that in Shogi, they call that a threat mate. I guess this is giving us a little glimpse into Soul's like tactical abilities. He's gonna be a pretty smart guy, pretty tactically advanced, I'd say. It's classic trope in like a lot of anime manga, like a really good like battle strategist is good at shogi, good at go probably as well, kind of like in Naruto with Shikamaru. And this is kind of Soul's role over this last bit of this fight. He's just commentating on whether Beast or Fuko or the team is making a good or bad move. Yeah, so now back to the battle. Beast says, I know what you're trying to do, but if I take out the boss, then the organization's finished. But we see Soul saying, no, that's the wrong thing to be doing, and he should look behind him, in fact. So yeah, Beast isn't as tactically advanced as Soul is. Like I was saying before, he might be a bit more bronze over brains. He might have a bit more brains than I was giving him credit for initially, but he's not as smart as other rules are. But yeah, Beast notices a bit too late that Julia is not actually on the Nimbus Cloud with Fuko. She just like tied her like blazer around Fuko, so it looks like he's kind of still holding on to Fuko. So yeah, they tricked him a bit over there with that. And what Julia's busy doing is, I think she's using a small part of the Nimbus Cloud. That's cool. It can actually separate off smaller portions of itself. And she's going around collecting the souls from all the beasts. Not the souls of the beast, but part of Beast's actual soul is within all the beasts. So he's not using the threads. He's actually split off bits of his soul, kind of like Fuko did with a soul bullet, in order to control the beast. So that's why there's no thread. It's actually he just pushed his soul into those organisms. And Soul actually next gives us some clarification on what I was wondering about, like the participants of the quest, what like makes a quest void. And so he was saying basically her collecting those souls don't count like as an attack by another human outside the quest, so it's all okay, it's fair game. So I guess for a quest to be voided by outside participation, what has to happen is like I guess in the quest where you have to like battle an Uma, if a human outside the quest participants attacks that Uma, then that's not fair game, and then the quest is voided, I guess. So yeah, and then we see Fuko's loading up another soul bullet, and Soul goes on to explain that pieces of souls that's detached from the physical body eventually return to the original body, like what we saw in the last chapter when something entered into Fuko. Like I guess in the last chapter, actually, I just guessed it was the part of a soul because obviously it's got to return back at some point. It can't just be out there. So also mentioned that Beast knows this fact, so he's just got to put it into a different organism, and he tries to launch it into another organism, but Top's there in the nick of time to just kick it right back at him. And not only does he kick it back at him, he also follows up with a double leg drop kick, and he's kind of just kicking the soul energy into Beast, while Beast is trying to like push it away, I guess, and not let it get absorbed back in him. We go back to Soul and Luna for a bit, and Soul just says that settles it, and that he'll be heading back. Luna asks him if he's not gonna keep watching till the end. Soul just tells him no need, and he says even Unstoppable Top was touching Soul, so eventually he'll encounter his predecessors and awaken, and that'll be the end of that. Luna says that Soul's given him a lot of credit, but Soul replies with, "You'd raise them to be that way, didn't you?" Luna just questions what he means by raised, and that her goal is to simply seek the greatest form of life. Sun says, yeah, that's the sun's goal, but hers is different. So real quick, it's interesting here, where God, I guess, is being referred to as Sun here. So I guess the God terminology is just a thing that those negators created to call him, but his real name is Sun, and Luna's obviously means moon. So it's just, yeah, we always kind of knew it was just a fight between the sun and the moon, like the two opposite sides, but it's interesting to see that his name is actually just they're calling him Sun and not God. Anyway, Soul goes on to say that Sun created the Umas and Luna created the artifacts. I'm not sure if we already knew this, but that's quite interesting to know that Luna created the artifacts. I think we did know this. I feel like this was mentioned before, probably to Fuko before she entered the next loop. Anyway, Soul drops a big revelation on us that the first Uma created, Soul, him in fact, was not created by Sun, but was in fact created by Luna. And he asks, why did you give birth to me first? And why did you grant people the potential? What is her goal? And whilst he's saying this, we actually see in the background these lines going all across the earth. And I think it's just Top. The last time we saw him, he was doing a double-leg drop kick to Beast, so I guess his Unstoppable is just pushing him all across the world. I had to like really think about this when I first saw it, because I was like, no way, that's just Top just zipping around the earth like that. So he's just got to a crazy feat of speed now. This is a crazy feat. These Undead Unluck characters are starting to scale up massively. But anyway, back to Soul and Luna. Her response to his question of why did she create and why did she give the humans potential, we just see her smile. And she says, I simply find all this more amusing. But Soul seems to think that she's just hiding the truth, even from them, the Master Rules. And maybe even Sun. But Soul just lets it go. He says whatever the reason, his course of action doesn't change. And to be honest, in this one panel, Soul kind of looks a bit sad. And he says, see you, Beast. Then we move on to the next page, and it's Beast all bloodied, and Top just blasted a hole right through him. And on this panel, it's Soul saying, if we win, we can meet again. So it kind of seems like the Master Rules do kind of care about each other a little bit, at least. I guess they're all the same kind of race of rules, these Umas, so they might have some sort of camaraderie. although they might be like a bit dickish to each other, they probably spend a lot of time together, like a lot of time together, multiple loops, hundreds of years, maybe even 1,000. But it's interesting that he says they'll meet again if this is the final loop. So I guess if maybe if they win in this loop, then it's just the Umas are the greatest life form. One more loop and it's just the Umas forever. Maybe that's the end goal of the game. But anyway, the final page of the chapter is the announcer announcing that the neutralization quest of Uma Beast has been successful, and the reward is the addition of 2 new seats to the round table. So obviously those seats will probably be Top and Julia now that they're here. And yeah, they don't have to wait 3 months because, as I said, I just start catching up to the anime, and yeah, if you don't fill those seats within 3 months, then you'll forcibly gain a penalty. But yeah, this is the end of the chapter and the end of the Beast arc. With this arc, we've learned a lot about the souls and this new power that we can potentially unlock through all the negators. Another thing I was thinking about, Fuko kind of got a shortcut on how to do this with Gina, using the autumn like thing, making herself a book, and so the young Gina can speak to the previous Gina through memories. But now all she has to do is she can see that Gina again. Well, wait, no, she wouldn't be able to see that Gina again. She'd actually see the previous users of Unchanged, not actually Gina. But yeah, that was kind of a similar power up kind of thing, speaking to the past users. And it's kind of a thing like with Sean, where he had to change his perception of like being unseen for changing his weight to be unseen as well. He could have probably learned that by talking to his previous generation users, but they can probably teach him some other stuff now as well. But yeah, this gives a huge amount of potential for their growth, the union members' growth, and I can't wait to see what Uma language brings. Like I said, apparently they have defeated language before in the past, so we'll have to see if it's gonna be a actually easier ride than Beast. Maybe we'll switch over and we'll find out that we've already taken care of language. I doubt it though. The Master Rule seems to be the final boss. I think we'll have a nice little extended breakdown on them. And because she was beaten last time, maybe she remembers the stuff of last loop, so she won't get beaten the same way she did last time. Could do something like that. But anyway, thank you for watching, guys, and I'll see you later.